Hi, I'm Alice and this is Plant Slut. If you watched my last video, you would have seen me mention this plant. This is Epiphyllum curly sue, and it's never hydrated for me. It's all wrinkly and I've had it for months and months. So today I'm going to try something new for me. Well, it's not really new for me. I've used it before, briefly, but it's LECA, because you've read the title. So yeah, I'm going to talk about that a little bit, and then we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Hi, editing Alice. I seem to have lost a clip where I mentioned that I'm not actually using LECA. I'm using aquarium filter media, but it's essentially the same thing. It's just clay that's been hardened. I also seem to have lost a clip where I talk about the properties of clay. So to put it simply, clay is made up of layers and layers and layers of atoms, you know, thin layers all compacted down together, and on the end of these layers are atoms which are wanting to grab onto more things. So you've got it grabbing onto things like nutrients and holding onto them and also sharing them if there's enough nutrients, but it can also build up to levels that are not good for plants, that are too high, that'll burn things, and you can also have it grabbing onto the free hydrogen, which makes things acidic. So if it's grabbing onto that and holding onto it, you're going to end up with a more alkaline media. I think that's everything I wanted to cover, and it's not that I don't think LECA is a good media. I just think that, you know, I'd like to see in 5 years how many people are still using LECA, and how many people still have the same plants in LECA for that period of time. Because, I mean, nutrient buildup is one thing. Alkalinity is also going to affect the rate that plants can take up nutrients. The other thing is a buildup of organics. People do flush, I know, but the actual balls themselves become totally coated in algae because they're staying wet all the time, which then affects their ability to take up water at all, so you end up with a drier media. The other thing is the top layer. It's not really something that I've heard talked about in the houseplant community, but in terms of orchids, the orchid community, the dry top layer will dry out the root tips of the growing new root tips. I haven't heard people talk about that in houseplants. I think it's probably because most of our plants have roots below the soil that don't, you know, come out of the top and make their way in. Yeah, I'm just really skeptical about LECA, but here we go. This is my media. I'm going to pour the water out. I've had it soaking for a little while. There's still air bubbles in there, but what else? I also rinsed it. One thing that people in the hydroponics community do is they will pH their media so that it like soak it in an acid or whatever, so that it's more at a balanced level that plants prefer. I don't think I've ever seen anyone in the houseplant community do that. Yeah, I don't know, I'm not doing it, but it might help. The other thing is that the clay will absorb that free hydrogen and just go back to being alkaline. So I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. That. I'm just going to... You can see I've got a few dead pieces. Well, they're not actually dead, but they're dry on the top. I'm just going to dump out the soil, the media. And I'm just going to quickly go and rinse off all of that shit. Okay, so there's my plant. You can see I've removed all of the old media. Because things are going to be constantly moist, anything organic is going to... Oh, this orange line. That kind of scares me. Anyway, anything organic is going to break down much faster. So you gotta remove that shit. Got a little jar, because I only have, you know, that much media. I don't want to buy more LECA because, you know, I don't trust it. I'm just gonna go with this tiny jar. Because it is so small, I'm going to have to decide on quite a low fill point so that the roots aren't sitting in water, at least to start with, until they grow into it and adapt to it and, you know, whatever. And that's not super stable at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and grab a handful of perlite and put that in, because that is also another alternative. It's probably a better alternative to LECA in terms of being actually inert and also, you know, inorganic. But because it's so light, it just, you know, it goes everywhere. Your plant's not going to be stable really. But it will absorb water and share it. Although actually I just had a fiddle and I think I'm happy with that. And I'm just gonna fill her up to the line that I made, because I did 2 layers at the bottom, so I can fill to about there. Okay, so there we go, that's our little dude. We'll see how we go. I'm sure it's gonna be like fucking great, and I'm gonna convert everything to LECA because he's just gonna take off and be so healthy. But I'm so skeptical about the long term. Anyway, yeah, let me know down below, and especially like to hear if you've had like plants in LECA for like, I don't know, 2+ years, like the same plant, or maybe just your feelings about LECA. Let me know, bro.